My name is Zhang Hongqi. The moment I opened my eyes, a dim kerosene lamp was swaying before them. The heated Kong beneath me was scorching hot, and my nose was filled with the smell of old cotton batting and smoke. I had transmigrated into a period novel set in northeast China that I had just stayed up late to finish, becoming the unlucky supporting character in the book who had the same name as me. In the original story, our family existed only as tools to highlight the bitterness of that era, and all of our family's tragedy stemmed from my father Zhang Xuanzhu's foolish filial piety. In my ear came my mother Li Xiuji's tearful voice. "Kid's father, this is the last half sack of cornmeal our family has. If you take it all, what will the children eat tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll go to the production team and borrow some relief grain. We just need to hold out until spring. No matter how hard things are for our family, we can't let my father and mother go hungry and have people point fingers behind my back and call me unfilial. I can't afford that kind of disgrace. But from what I see, our dad and mom are living with fifth brother, and they're healthy and able to earn work points. They don't look like they're short on grain. What a woman's shallow view. Fifth brother's family has 3 boys. Do you know how heavy their burden is?" I was lying on the inner side of the Kong, my mind rapidly running through the plot of the original story. My grandparents favored my youngest uncle, Zhang Wankai, and every few days they would find some excuse to scrape grain from our family, openly subsidizing their youngest son. My father was bound hand and foot by the word filial. He would rather let his own wife and children go hungry than allow his parents to suffer the slightest grievance. I remembered the ending in the book with painful clarity. That winter, my 8-year-old second sister Fong Fong and my 5-year-old little brother Zaiching would starve to death alive. Not long after spring began, my 16-year-old eldest sister Lalun would be married off by grandma after taking the bride price. Too young, she died in childbirth. My mother cried herself blind, and with no money for treatment, she dragged on for 2 years before she died as well. And I was forced by my father to be filial for my entire life, drained dry by my youngest uncle's family for my entire life, and died in humiliation. "Dad, I'm hungry." My second sister tugged at Zhang Xuanzhu's clothes, her voice as thin as a mosquito's whine. My dad flung her hand off at once, his brows knotted tight. "Stop making trouble. We only ate after dark, so what are you hungry for? Don't delay me from taking grain to your grandparents. When you grow up, you'll have to be filial to them too." The burning, hollow ache in my stomach reminded me that the bowl of cornmeal mush that night had been so thin you could practically see your reflection in it. I, a half-grown boy, had only drunk less than half a bowl, saving the rest for my younger brother and sisters. And now the rations saved up like that were about to be sent straight to my youngest uncle's house. Bracing myself against the edge of the Kong, I sat up. "Dad, leave some for our family. My younger siblings are really hungry." Zhang Xuanzhu instantly flew into a rage. "What? You're unhappy about being filial to your grandparents? You ungrateful wretch. Out of everyone in this family, you eat the most. If second girl can't get enough to eat, it's all your fault." With that, he hoisted the half sack of cornmeal onto his shoulder and strode out, slamming the door so hard it shook the whole room. I was so angry I laughed. So all this time, with us mother and children tightening our belts, it had somehow become my fault instead? Looking at my second sister shrinking in mother's arms with tears streaming down her face, my little brother pursing his lips and saying he was hungry, and my eldest sister curled up silently in the corner of the Kong. She always gave all her mush to her younger siblings, starving until her face was no bigger than a palm. I felt a suffocating tightness in my chest. Before transmigrating, I was a veteran in the Border Defense Forces with solid combat skills and marksmanship, but I couldn't exactly go rob people. Staring at the pitch-dark forest outside the window, a thought came to mind. Hunting. This was Kaoshan Village in northeast China in 1977. Beyond the village stretched endless forests, and these days there was no gun ban and no hunting ban. With a treasure mountain right there, I absolutely could not starve to death. But I had no gun, nor any real hunting experience. In the whole village, only Zhao Sanchi at the west end was an old hunter. If I wanted to take this path, I could only ask him to show me the ropes. I put on my tattered cotton-padded jacket and headed out. My mother called after me from behind, and I only answered that I was going out for a bit. It was more than 20 below outside. The cold seeped through every crack and into my bones, and the snow came up past my shoe tops, crunching underfoot. I knocked on Zhao Sanchi's door and got straight to the point. "Uncle Sanchi, I want to go into the mountains with you to hunt wild game." Zhao Sanchi was stunned, then waved his hand with a laugh. "Hongqi, you kidding your uncle? Hunting is hard and dangerous. Just stay home where you belong." "Uncle, I'm serious. I'll be 19 in the spring. I can make my own decisions. If I keep listening to my dad, someone in my family really is going to starve to death. I laid out everything at home exactly as it was. How my dad kept sending grain to my younger uncle's family. How the children were going hungry. Every word the plain truth. Beside him, his son Zhao Taiju wiped his nose and chimed in a muffled voice. Zhang Wangsai's family is definitely not short on grain. I just saw them eating white flour buns the other day. Zhao Taiju had been left a little slow after a childhood fever, but he never lied. Zhao Sanchi puffed on his pipe and stayed silent for a long while. Zhao Taiju added, "Dad, you were just saying the other day that when opening a black bear's den, having me help alone wasn't enough. Let Hongqi come with us. The two of us can keep each other company." Zhao Sanchi glared at him, but when he looked at me, there was more consideration in his eyes. My heart leaped, and I quickly said, "Uncle, take me along when you open the den. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. I'll follow your lead in everything, and I'll handle all the heavy work." Hunting a hibernating black bear is called den hunting, and opening the den means hunting a bear in hibernation. A single bear's gallbladder can sell for 300 or 400, about the same as a city worker's yearly wages. Zhao Sanchi stared at me for a long time. "You really want to make a living at this?" "Yeah, I'm not afraid of hardship. I'm afraid of being poor, afraid of my family going hungry." "All right, you're in. We leave early tomorrow morning." A weight finally lifted from my heart. Zhao Taiju pulled me aside and muttered on, telling me what to watch out for in the mountains, how to step on a snow crust, how to run if we ran into wild animals, speaking like he really knew his stuff. As I was leaving, he fished a roasted potato out of the Kong hole and stuffed it into my pocket, holding the warm potato as I walked home. My heart was full of mixed feelings. Even the fool everyone looked down on knew enough to offer someone a bite to eat, but my own father kept giving away the last of our family's grain. By the time I got home, Zhang Xuanju still wasn't back. When my second younger sister saw me, her eyes were red. I handed her the roasted potato. "Arya, this is for you." Her eyes lit up at once, but she held it out to my mother's mouth first. "Mom, you eat." "I'm not hungry." "You eat." "No, Mom, take a bite." My mother couldn't refuse, so she took a tiny bite. Then my sister rose onto her tiptoes and held it up to me. "Brother, you eat too." "I already ate at Brother Zhuzi's house." "You're lying. Your mouth isn't even black." My heart softened, and I lowered my head and took the smallest bite. The charred, fragrant potato spread through my mouth, warming me until my nose stung. Then it went to my eldest younger sister, then to my little brother. After making the rounds, more than half of the little potato was still left. It was just one roasted potato, yet the four of them kept pushing it back and forth, unwilling to eat it. I clenched my fists. "Zhang Xuanju, you're really no good." It wasn't until the latter half of the night that Dad came back, reeking of alcohol and pipe tobacco. Half asleep, I heard him muttering to Mom that my eldest younger sister wasn't so young anymore, and it was time to start looking for a husband's family for her. My heart sank. The plot from the book had already started moving forward. Chapter 2. Going into the mountains to open a den at daybreak the next morning, I quietly got up. I found an axe and some rope, stuffed them into a big basket, slung it on my back, and headed out. Dad was awakened by the noise and asked where I was going. I casually said I was going to find Zhao Taiju to hang out. He grumbled that Zhao Taiju was a fool and told me to stay away from him. I ignored him. Even a fool knows to give my little sister a bite to eat, while you, a father, only know how to give away the grain at home. So who's the real fool? At the entrance to the village, Zhao Sanchi was carrying a forked gun rest. Zhao Taiju had a large basket on his back, and the hunting dog Hutu was lying at their feet, already waiting for me. The three of us and the dog trudged through the snow toward the depths of the forest. The bear den Zhao Sanchi had found wasn't too far away, but we couldn't make a round trip in one day, so we'd have to spend a night in the woods. The snow in the forest was deeper, but luckily it was cold, and the snow crust had frozen hard, making it steady to walk on. After walking all day, a little after 4 in the afternoon, Zhao Sanchi called for a stop. We found a sheltered spot, dug a snow pit, gathered dry branches, and lit a campfire. The father and son had brought cornmeal cakes and rutabaga pickles, and had even prepared a portion for me. The cakes were toasted over the fire until fragrant and crisp. Taking a bite with the pickles, my stomach finally started to warm up. Not far ahead was where the black bear was holed up for the winter, so everyone had better stay sharp on night watch. Zhao Sanchi instructed us. I took the first watch. They figured I had no experience, and the first shift was the safest. I sat by the campfire holding that forked gun rest, with Hutu lying at my feet. My years in the army had taught me that you can't keep staring at the firelight. If you look too long, once you turn to the dark you'll be night blind, even with your eyes open. The barrel of this forked gun rest setup was unusual. I guessed it had been modified from a Mosin Nagant. 7.62 full power rounds. One shot to the head could bring down a black bear. The night passed peacefully enough, without any mishaps. Early the next morning, after eating some dry rations and drinking hot water, the three of us moved toward the bear den. It was a tree den, a huge hollow dead trunk, with a ring of icicles and white frost around the opening. Breath the bear had huffed out. Any experienced hunter could tell at a glance there was something inside. Hutu was tied up some distance away, for fear his barking would alarm the bear. Gripping his gun, Zhao Sanchi instructed us. In a bit, Zhuzi will throw firecrackers in to startle the bear out. The moment it sticks its head out, you two use the gun forks to pin its neck, and don't let it lunge out. Wait for my signal. Zhao Taiju and I each held an elm pole with a hunting blade tied to it, and nodded in reply. Don't worry, Uncle, we won't mess this up. Zhao Taiju lit a string of small firecrackers and tossed it into the tree hollow, then quickly retreated and braced his pole tightly. The crackling explosions echoed dully through the tree hollow, followed immediately by a deep, furious roar that made our ears buzz. The hollow dead trunk gave a violent shudder, and splinters came raining down. The next second, a round black bear's head thrust out, its eyes blood-red and full of ferocity. Go! Zhao Sanchi shouted, and Zhao Taiju and I both jabbed forward at once. The two gun forks locked hard against either side of the bear's neck, pinning it at the opening so it couldn't move. Bang! The gun went off. From so close, I saw it clearly. The bullet punched a hole straight through the bear's head. The massive body lunged forward, smashing half the dead trunk apart, then crashed onto the snow with a thunderous boom and didn't move again. You hit it. Dad, you hit it. Zhao Taiju shouted, jumping up and down. Zhao Sanchi's face was full of wild joy, and I let out a breath too. Those few seconds just now, if that shot hadn't hit the head, none of the three of us would have gotten away. With this bolt-action homemade gun, there was no chance for a second shot. We didn't have time to celebrate much. Zhao Sanchi quickly pulled out his knife to bleed it and clean out the body cavity. It was cold, but if you delayed too long, the cavity would still spoil. When he cut open the belly, Zhao Sanchi's eyes lit up, and holding up a bare gallbladder the size of a fist, bluish gold in color, he shouted, Ho! An iron gall. It's an iron gall. The supply and marketing cooperative will pay at least 300 yuan for it. This one haul is worth as much as an ordinary worker earns in a whole year. My heart grew hot too. This trip into the mountains was worth it. Next came butchering the prey. The bear's nose and knees were all valuable medicinal materials, so we carefully put them away. We skinned the bear hide and rubbed it with snow for simple treatment. Some of the intestines and organs were hung on a tree as an offering to the mountain god, and the rest was fed to Hudu. After we finished, the bear meat alone weighed nearly 200 jin. We quickly wove a grass sled nearby, loaded all the meat onto it, and hurried back. Zhao Sanchi said we had to get back to the village that same day. Leaving that much meat in the woods overnight didn't feel safe. When we stopped to rest at noon, Zhao Sanchi cut a few pieces of rib meat, skewered them with branches, and roasted them over the fire. The fat sizzled as it dripped out, and with a little salt sprinkled on top, it smelled so good it made people swallow hard. Bear meat had a bit of a gamey smell, but once the fat was thoroughly roasted, the aroma went straight to your head. The three of us were scalded enough to bare our teeth, but we still couldn't bear to spit it out. In times like these, whose belly wasn't short on oil and fat, one bite of fatty meat, and your whole body felt comfortable. After eating the meat, everyone's forehead was beaded with sweat. Bear meat is heating, and with two young men plus a widower, we looked at each other and could only hold it in and keep moving. Chapter 3: A basket of bear meat. By the time we dragged the sled back to Kaoshan village, it was already completely dark. After agreeing with Zhao Sanchi to go to the county supply and marketing cooperative early tomorrow morning to sell the goods, I carried a big basket full of bear meat and headed home. This basket of meat was, first, because the family was out of food and my younger siblings needed a full meal, and second, because I wanted to see what crooked ideas my foolishly filial father would come up with when he saw this much meat. What crooked idea would he come up with again? The moment I pushed the door open, I heard my father's cursing. So you still know how to come back? You've been running wild for a whole day and night. I thought you were dead out there. I ignored him and set the big basket down in the middle of the floor. My mother hurried over, holding a small broom to brush the snow off me. Hongqi, where have you been? Your father has been worried about you all day. When she lowered her head and saw what was in the basket, she froze at once, and even her voice changed. This is meat? Where did you get so much meat? Meat? What meat? My little brother Zaiching rolled off the Kong in one motion and bounced while clutching the edge of the basket. Big brother brought back meat. Our family has meat to eat now. My second younger sister came over too, her eyes shining. Mom, I want to eat meat. My eldest younger sister, Lon Lon, also leaned over. When she saw the basket packed full of meat, a smile instantly appeared on her thin face. She turned and went to the stove to heat water, wanting to wash my feet. The room instantly became lively, filled with the children's joyful voices. My father also jumped down from the Kong. He came over to the basket for a look, his eyes going wide. Then his face sank again. Zhang Hongqi, tell me the truth. Where did this meat come from? You didn't go down the wrong path, did you? Our old Zhang family can't do things like stealing chickens and dogs. We can't afford that shame. So in his eyes, I was only capable of doing bad things? I went into the mountains hunting with Uncle Sanchi. This is bear meat we hunted today. The moment I finished speaking, the room fell silent for an instant, then became even livelier. The children cheered that Big Brother was amazing. My mother wiped away tears and murmured ba, then turned to scrub the pot and stew meat for the whole family. The fire in the stove flared up, casting a warm glow through the room. The two little ones circled the stove. My eldest younger sister busied herself looking for seasonings, and my mother deftly cut the meat. Slowly, the smell of meat began to drift through the air. It seemed that from this day on, life finally had a bit of hope. And after his initial shock, Zhang Xuanju sat on the edge of the Kong without saying a word, staring blankly at the large basket of bear meat that Zhang Hongqi had deliberately carried back. Mom, cut more meat. Mom, cut over there. That part's fatty. The two little ones, Zhang Zaiching and Zhang Fongfong, lay there by the big basket, directing Li Xiuji as she cut the bear meat. Zhang Hongqi and his elder sister Zhang Lanlan stood by, smiling. Zhang Zaiching was 6, and Zhang Fongfong was 8. They sounded like they knew exactly what they were talking about, but in reality, from the day they were born until now, the number of times they'd eaten meat could be counted on the fingers of one hand. How would they know what kind of meat was fatty or lean and tasty? Not to mention it was bear meat, more expensive and much rarer. But at a time like this, nobody cared. Li Xiuji smiled and listened to the two little ones directing her, cutting wherever they told her to cut. As long as it was meat, it would taste good no matter what part was cut. Ahem, Xiuji, just make a little so everyone can have a taste. How can we let everyone eat meat until they're full? After watching from the side with a frown for quite a while, Zhang Xuanju finally couldn't hold back and spoke up. Second girl, fourth, be good. Don't eat too much of this meat. Save it to send to your grandparents. They're your own grandparents. If you don't show them filial respect, who will? Just goes to show, one rotten apple spoils the barrel. The whole family had been happily waiting to eat meat, but the moment Zhang Xuanju opened his mouth, the room instantly fell silent. Li Xiuji, who was holding the cleaver and cutting the meat, froze. The muscles in her face twitched twice, and she forced herself to speak gently. Their dad, there's so much meat here. Just let the children eat their fill for once. Besides, even if we send half to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, it'll still be enough for the two of them and Fifth's family to eat all winter. Zhang Xuanju waved a hand. You can't talk like that. To live a proper life, you have to budget carefully. It's enough for our family to just have a taste. Eating too much would be a waste. Sending it to my parents is the proper thing to do. Besides, my parents probably won't bear to eat this meat anyway. They'll definitely trade it for money to use someday, when it's time to get Hongqi a wife. What the hell kind of nonsense is that? Your own son and daughters eating it is a waste, but sending it to your parents and your younger brother's family is the proper thing to do? Bah, you bastard. The more Zhang Xuanju talked, the more worked up he got, until he nearly moved himself. If Zhang Hongqi didn't know exactly what his grandparents and uncle's family were really like, he might actually have believed him seeing Zhang Xuanju gesticulating so animatedly. When Zhao Taiju saw his family eating white flour steamed buns, that was only by chance. But Zhang Hongqi knew very well that not only was his uncle Zhang Wangsai's family not short on food or drink, they had even saved up a lot of money. It wasn't a small sum either, a full 400 or 500 yuan. This was 400 or 500 yuan in 1977, for heaven's sake. Who knew how much blood the old couple had sucked from Zhang Hongqi's family and his 3 aunts' families? Because of this, none of Zhang Hongqi's 3 aunts lived happy lives. Their homes were full of conflict every day, and not one of them could hold her head up in her husband's family. Then, 1 or 2 years later, Zhang Hongqi's grandparents used that 400 or 500 yuan to buy Zhang Wankai a job quota, completely shedding his identity as a peasant and becoming a wage-earning worker. The whole family even moved to the county seat and became city people living on state grain. And at that time, Zhang Hongqi's grandparents said the city home was too small to fit everyone, so only then did they move in with the father and son. From then on, all the grain and money the father and son earned by painstakingly farming and working for work points fell into the hands of the grandparents, and in the end naturally went to Zhang Wansai's family, who were already city people. As for why only Zhang Hongqi and his father were left at home, his second younger sister and little brother starved to death this winter. Grandma coveted the bride price and forced the eldest sister to marry, and she died from obstructed labor in the first year of marriage. Li Xiuji was so grief-stricken she fell ill, and with no money for treatment, she died of the illness. His grandparents secretly held tight to that 400 or 500 yuan, yet watched their eldest daughter-in-law die of illness without being willing to take out even a single cent. In a situation like that, did Zhang Hongqi really expect them to help him get a wife? Dream on. Knowing full well what sort of thing Zhang Xuanzhu was, Zhang Hongqi wore a fake smile and snatched the cleaver out of Li Xiuji's hand. Marry a wife? Marry what wife? With our family unable to even fill up on cornmeal gruel, marrying anyone's daughter would just be ruining her life. Me, I don't want a wife right now. I just want to eat meat. Hongqi, how can you talk like that? Don't cut so much. Leave more for your grandparents. Oh, you little bastard. Why won't you listen? Watching Zhang Hongqi cut off big chunks of meat, Zhang Xuanzhu felt like that cleaver was slicing into his own body, and he was so anxious he kept stomping his feet. Whoever brought the meat home is the one in charge. Zhang Hongqi had no intention of continuing to indulge him. If he really let this bastard of a father do whatever he pleased, things would definitely end up just like in the book, with the whole family destroyed and dead. You little bastard, are you trying to rebel? Fine, fine, fine. Just eat this one meal. Eat then eat. Sooner or later this family will be eaten into ruin by you all. Zhang Xuanzhu hopped around and yelled. Just now, he had originally wanted to reach out and snatch the cleaver from Zhang Hongqi's hand. But Zhang Hongqi suddenly turned his head, his gaze cold and unfamiliar, exactly like the look a butcher gives a fat pig when the production team slaughters pigs for the new year. That instantly scared Zhang Xuanzhu. Since Zhang Hongqi had the cleaver in hand, he simply decided to cook the meat right away. He first chose the fatty pork and cut it into chunks, added a little water to the cleaned iron pot, then put the fat in and slowly rendered it. Once the water dried up, the oil would come out. Then he cut the streaky rib meat, fat and lean together, into long thin slices and stir-fried them in the pot. Amid the sizzling sounds, the whole family couldn't help swallowing their saliva. Wild game meat all carries a fishy, rank smell, and it's not easy to make it taste good. Different wild animals require different ways of handling. But after all, it always comes down to a few methods. Soak it in cold water ahead of time and force the blood out. If you soak it for a full day and night, the rank smell will be much lighter. When cooking it, you need lots of oil and plenty of seasoning. If you're willing to use enough oil and spices, it won't taste too bad. But Zhang Hongqi's family had been so worn down by Zhang Xuanzhu that they couldn't even get enough cornmeal gruel to eat. So how could they have any oil or seasonings? On the stove, there was only a bit of salt, but bear fat was good stuff. At first, while it was slowly rendering, the whole room still smelled like singed pig bristles. But once the grease had been rendered out, it turned into a strange toasted aroma. In fact, aside from Zhang Hongqi, no one else in the family thought there was anything strange about the smell. These days, nobody had any oil in their bellies, and with both oil and meat right there, who would dare complain about a strange smell? To them, it was all the smell of meat. Once this big pot of bear meat was cooked, the whole family, old and young, held their bowls and wolfed it down, with no time to talk at all. Zhang Xuanzhu had said earlier that eating it would be a waste, but in the end he was the one moving his chopsticks faster than anyone else. Li Xiuji and the three little ones didn't have the luxury of caring about manners or not. They knew full well they were only being allowed this one meal of meat, so they had to eat as much as they could. If they couldn't finish it, Zhang Xuanzhu would send all the rest to someone else's house. Holding his bowl and shoveling meat into his mouth, Zhang Hongqi deliberately said, "This meat doesn't all belong to our family. Uncle Sanchi gets the bigger share. We hurried back from the old forest to the village, and we were too tired, so we didn't bother hauling it back and forth. The meat we're eating tonight, we'll have to explain it clearly to Uncle Sanchi tomorrow and deduct it when we settle the accounts." Li Xiuji and the three little ones had no mind to worry about that. Anyway, whether the share was bigger or smaller, whatever was left would all have to be sent to Zhang Wansai's house. So scarfing down what was in their bowls was what really mattered. Zhang Xuanzhu glared at Zhang Hongqi out of the corner of his eye and curled his lip in disdain. Little bastard, trying to play tricks with your old man? You're still too green. After this feast, the whole family finally got to indulge themselves. The most outrageous were Zhang Fangfang and Zhang Ziqing. The sister and brother were comparing whose belly was rounder. The bear meat left in the big basket, Zhang Hongqi directly put into the snowdrift in the yard outside the house. In the far northeast, winter itself is one giant natural freezer. Any food that needs to be frozen and stored just gets buried directly in the snowdrift in the yard. With temperatures more than 20 degrees below zero, nothing goes bad no matter what it is. People who haven't eaten meat for a long time have no oil in their bellies. If they suddenly eat greasy food, they'll almost certainly get diarrhea. Zhang Hongqi's family spent the whole night making repeated trips to the outhouse. But this was normal. After eating meat a few more times, they'd gradually get used to it. Even though they had diarrhea, the nourishing effects of bear fat and bear meat were not bad at all. When they got up the next day, every one of them looked rosy-cheeked, much better than their previous sallow, undernourished appearance. With something on his mind, Zhang Hongqi got up early on purpose and went to dig at the snowdrift where the bear meat had been stored. Sure enough, it was gone. Dad, get up quick. Our bear meat's been stolen. They didn't even leave us the basket. Zhang Hongqi let out a howl and woke the whole family. Li Xiuji immediately panicked. It didn't matter so much if their own family had nothing to eat, but Zhao Sanqi had the biggest share in that basket of bear meat. If it was lost, wouldn't they have to compensate him? Dad, wake up. Someone stole our bear meat. Who stole it? How could they be so rotten? The two younger kids, Zhang Fangfang and Zhang Ziqing, were so anxious that they started crying, both of them shoving Zhang Xuanzhu as he lay on the kong. Only the eldest sister, Zhang Lanlan, who had matured early, pressed her lips together and said nothing, lowering her head and curling up into the corner of the kong. What are you yelling for? What are you yelling for? So early in the morning and you're already making such a racket. Wailing at a funeral or what? What's stolen or not stolen? I sent it over to your grandparents' place ahead of time. Each and every one of you is greedy like starving ghosts reincarnated. If I left it in our house, who knows how much of it you'd eat? Zhang Xuanzhu lay on his side and waved his hand impatiently. Zhang Hongqi pretended to be anxious. Dad, I said last night that the meat wasn't just ours. Uncle Sanqi had the biggest share. So how could you send it all to my uncle's house? Bullshit. Zhang Xuanzhu suddenly sat up with a whoosh. Hongqi, no matter how capable you are, honoring your grandparents is only right. Look at you. You're starting to lie over a little bit of meat. Let me tell you, when I took the meat over, your grandparents said they wouldn't eat a single bite of it. They'd turn it all into money and save it for your future wife. Hongqi, your grandparents dote on you. So how can you be this unfilial? Zhang Hongqi sneered inwardly and put on his ragged cotton-padded jacket as he headed for the door. What are you going to do? The meat's gone. I need to explain it clearly to Uncle Sanqi. You're still lying even now? Hongqi, let me tell you. If you dare go looking for your grandparents, I'll break your legs. Zhang Hongqi no longer paid any attention to Zhang Xuanzhu, who was shouting and carrying on from the kong. On the way back, he had already discussed it with Zhao Sanqi. They were doing this precisely to make that useless bastard of a father and that whole bunch of bloodsuckers look bad. As for how to get rid of Zhang Xuanzhu, his grandparents, and his uncle's family, Zhang Hongqi had been thinking quite a bit about it these past few days. In his view, it had to be done in 2 steps. The first step was to fall out with his grandparents and his uncle's family and completely tear off all pretense, ideally cutting off relations. The second step was to find a way to move out with his motherly Xiuji and his younger brothers and sisters, or drive Zhang Xuanzhu out and live separately. None of the steps would be easy, but to change the miserable fate of himself and his family, to live a good life in this special era, Zhang Hongqi had to keep going. Seeing his eldest son head out the door regardless of anything, Zhang Xuanzhu stopped sleeping too, got dressed, and got up cursing. No one in the family dared make a sound. Anyway, as long as the bear meat wasn't lost, that was better than anything. Zhang Xuanzhu was convinced that Zhang Hongqi couldn't bear to give the bear meat to his parents out of filial respect, so he had made up lies to fool him. If that bear meat really belonged to Zhao Sanqi, would he have trusted him to carry it back? Even if he had carried it back, would he really have dared to eat it? His eldest son used to be honest and well-behaved, but now he actually dared to lie to him. Must he have offended some kind of spirit or something? Zhang Xuanzhu was sitting alone on the edge of the kong, thinking nonsense to himself, when Zhao Sanqi's greeting rang out from the courtyard. Brother Xuanzhu, you home? Brother, what brings you here? I came to apologize to you and sister-in-law. Sorry about that. I didn't ask clearly before taking Hongqi with me into the deep woods. This was something you two should have agreed to first. The kid made the decision on his own. We only found out after he came back. As long as you and sister-in-law don't blame us, that's enough. Well, I heard from Hongqi that he stored the bear meat at his uncle's house. Hope you won't laugh at me, Brother Xuanju, but we mountain patrol hunters have our own rules. It's fine to eat or drink a little at home, but before the accounts are settled, the game shouldn't be handled carelessly by unrelated people. How about we go together and bring that bit of bear meat back? Once the accounts are settled, you can do whatever you want with your family's share. All right. Seeing that Zhao Sanqi had really come to his door, Zhang Xuanju didn't hesitate either. Instead, he felt that it was better than anything that his eldest son hadn't lied, and that it wasn't because he was unwilling to show filial respect to his grandparents. As for that big basket of bear meat, Zhang Xuanju swore up and down that there would absolutely be no mishap leaving it at his parents' place. Why support it? And because of what? Because his parents doted on their own eldest grandson. The old couple had said the bear meat would all be exchanged for money and used for Hongqi's future marriage. Zhang Hongqi and Zhao Taizhu, the two lads, were waiting by the roadside outside the courtyard gate, definitely going along to Zhang Wansai's house. Zhang Xuanju cast a somewhat puzzled glance at them. It was fine for them to come along, but why was Sanchi's foolish son holding a hunting rifle in his arms? The snow underfoot crunched as they stepped on it. All along the way, Zhang Xuanju boasted to Zhao Sanqi about how well he understood filial duty to his parents and how much his parents doted on the younger children in his family. Zhao Sanqi responded with a cheerful smile. To be fair, Zhang Xuanju's reputation in the village wasn't actually bad, and quite a few people praised him as a filial son. After all, saying a few nice-sounding words doesn't cost anything, right? If this had been before, Zhao Sanqi would definitely have thought that Zhang Xuanju and his parents were truly a loving mother and filial son, the sort people envied. But now, after hearing Zhang Hongqi's words, he had doubts about this so-called filial devotion. Never mind anything else. Once they got to Zhang Wansai's house, they'd know the real situation just by seeing whether his family was willing to return the bear meat. But before they even reached the gate of Zhang Wansai's courtyard, still 30 or 40 meters away, Zhang Xuanju, who had been noisily blustering the whole way, fell silent. Because he caught a familiar scorched fragrance in the air. He had smelled that scorched fragrance last night when his eldest son was rendering bear fat. Brother Xuanju, why aren't you going forward? Zhao Sanqi wore a half-smile as he stared at Zhang Xuanju, who had suddenly stopped in his tracks. Well, Sanqi, couldn't you give our family a little of that bear meat in advance? The smile on Zhang Xuanju's face froze. He forced it wider, barely managing to keep it up. Zhao Sanqi let out a strange cry. I wouldn't dare. Brother Xuanju, you just don't understand the rules of people like us who venture into the deep old forest. Same as I said before, it's nothing if we eat or drink a little ourselves. But if unrelated people start helping themselves, that breaks the rules and violates a taboo. Brother Xuanju, think about it. If you violate a taboo, Grandpa Mountain God will punish you. We people who go into the deep old forest, to put it bluntly, are making a living from the mountain god with our lives on the line. If we anger Grandpa Mountain God, how are we supposed to keep making a living in this trade? Brother Xuanju, didn't you just say that Hongqi's grandparents promised not to touch the bear meat and to save it all to exchange for money for Hongqi to get a wife? It's still early right now. My uncle and aunt surely haven't gone to the supply and marketing cooperative yet, so nothing should be wrong. It doesn't count as breaking the rules or violating a taboo. Come on, Brother Xuanju, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you walking forward? Huh, whose family is stewing meat so early in the morning? It smells so good. The whole street is filled with the smell of meat. Zhao Taizhu, holding the jibatzi in his arms, after being nudged with an elbow by Zhang Hongqi, dramatically said the prepared line. Zhang Hongqi quickly picked up. Exactly, it's damn fragrant. Eating meat early in the morning. In the past, at the very least, that was something only a rich landlord would do. Poor my grandpa and grandma, guarding the bear meat and not even willing to eat it, insisting on saving it to trade for money to get me a wife. I'm useless, I'm unfilial. Once the money is divided, no matter what, I have to make grandpa and grandma a meal of bear meat. Right, Dad? Right what? What right? Your grandpa and grandma have probably already started eating it. In just those few lines, sweat had already broken out on Zhang Xuanju's forehead. Without saying a word, he rushed ahead toward Zhang Wansai's house. With a cold face, Zhang Hongqi exchanged a glance with the astonished Zhao Sanqi. Uncle, I didn't lie to you, did I? Sigh, Hongqi, don't make too big a scene. Forget it, let's go over there too. Zhao Sanqi let out a long sigh. In such a fine Kaoshan village, how can there be all kinds of rotten bastards? Meanwhile, Zhao Taizhu, holding the jibatsi behind them, raised a hand to wipe his big runny nose and giggled foolishly. Before coming, Zhang Hongqi had told him there would be some excitement to watch later. In the bitterly cold winter, with everyone cooped up all day and no entertainment at all, if there's excitement to watch, what is there to hesitate about? Just grin with your big teeth and laugh. Dad, Mom, what are you two doing? Wang Kai, why did you haul out all the meat? Before he had even reached Zhang Wangsai's front gate, he heard Zhang Xuanzhu's shocked and despairing voice from the yard. Xuanzhu, why are you back again? Well, your dad and I were thinking, it'd be a shame to sell off so much meat, so our family should render some oil too and save it to eat during the new year. Old Madam Li, Zhang Hongqi's grandmother, spoke up right after. Why are you wasting words with the eldest? I'm craving it. I want to eat meat, so what? Xuanzhu, are you unwilling to let me, your father, have a bite of meat? Old man Zhang sounded even more confident, not even bothering to hide it anymore. His eldest son is filial. If he says do something, then do it. Is there any need to sneak around? Zhang Wangsai's voice followed right after. Big brother, what brings you here? This meat smells so good. Once it's done, let's have a couple of drinks. There's news about that marriage proposal our mom asked about for Lon Lon last time. The other side is willing to give a bit more betrothal money. Let's discuss it slowly in a bit. Even though her first husband ran off, they're willing to change, so if it's suitable, just marry her off quickly. Hearing second uncle bring up the matter of arranging a match for Zhang Lanlan, an image involuntarily flashed through Zhang Hongqi's mind. His eldest younger sister's thin, frail body curled up in the corner of the calm. She was only 16 and had just started the third year of middle school. His eldest younger sister was quiet and gentle, so sensible it made people's hearts ache. She would endure hunger herself and still give the little bit of cornmeal porridge to her younger brother and sisters. Seeing that Zhang Hongqi had spent the whole night in the old forest, she didn't even stop to be happy that there was meat to eat at home, but first boiled hot water to soak his feet, feeling sorry for him as the eldest brother. The moment he thought of his eldest younger sister Zhang Lanlan being forced to marry, bullied by the whole family from the moment she entered her husband's home, and beaten every few days. And in the end, when she was about to give birth, being kicked in the stomach by her husband and dying in obstructed labor, Zhang Hongqi's head buzzed and completely exploded. Why? A perfectly good young girl, at an age when she should be in school. Why were you forcing her to get married? So you knew all along that that man's first wife was beaten until she ran away? Just for that little bit of bride price, you insist on pushing her into a pit of fire? Whoever wants the bride price can go marry him, can't they? Why do you have to force her? Just because her father is a worthless bastard and a blindly filial son? Just because her whole family is a bunch of muddle-headed pushovers? Just because you've all gotten used to ganging up and bleeding her dry? Bah, to hell with you. Bastards, I'm done pretending. Even Zhang Hongqi himself didn't know where such fury came from. He was just someone who had transmigrated into a book. He wasn't Zhang Lanlan's real eldest brother. He was a substitute, and Zhang Lanlan's real eldest brother wouldn't have dared interfere in this matter either. But Zhang Lanlan cared about him, worried about him, and soaked his feet for him. She called him Big Brother. In a daze, without knowing how, Zhang Hongqi found that the break-action gun had ended up in his hands. Ignoring Zhao Sanqi's startled cry and Zhao Tieju's loud laughter, Zhang Hongqi charged to the open courtyard gate and raised his hand to fire a shot into the sky. Bang! Let's see which bastard dares marry my younger sister. That shout was even louder than the crisp gunshot. What's going on? Why is someone firing a gun? That's a gun in Hongqi's hand, right? Where did he get a gun? What is that little bastard trying to do? In Zhang Wangsai's courtyard, chaos instantly broke out. Zhao Sanqi hurriedly rushed over from behind, grabbing hard at Zhang Hongqi's arm, trying to snatch away the break-action gun, but no matter how hard he pulled, he just couldn't wrench it away. Thank goodness this thing was a single-shot bolt loader that had to be reloaded after every shot. Otherwise, there'd have been a damn accidental discharge for sure. Hongqi, listen to your uncle and give me the gun. There's no use for you holding it. Give it to me. We didn't agree on this before. Zhao Sanqi was truly frightened. If Zhang Hongqi's shot just now hadn't been fired into the sky, but at the people in the courtyard. Slowly turning his stiff neck, Zhang Hongqi glared with bloodshot eyes and said in a hoarse voice, "Uncle, sorry about that." His tightly clenched hand finally loosened. Zhao Sanqi let out a long breath of relief. The kid had been driven half crazy by anger. Hey, this bear meat was brought back by my dad, and it hasn't even been divided up yet. So how come your family already has it stewing? TSK, TSK, TSK. And such a big pot of oil too. So you rendered all that fatty meat. Huh? What the hell you're doing is breaking the rules and violating us hunters' taboos. Zhang Wankai, you're the head of the household. So you come and give an explanation. If your explanation isn't good enough, there's going to be bloodshed today. You've got to admit, a simpleton really is reliable and dependable. Things have already escalated to gunfire, and Zhao Taizhu is still acting according to the script. Xuanzhu, what exactly is going on? You don't want your mother and me to live in peace anymore, is that it? Old Zhang was panicking too, but he was quick-witted. The moment he saw that heart-stopping gun fall into Zhao Sanqi's hands, old Zhang instantly reacted. Dad, that's not what happened. Listen to me. Listen to you, my ass. The son you raised already blocked the door and fired a gun at me, and I'm still supposed to listen to you? Bah, you're unfilial. Old Madame Li was originally so frightened she almost lost her soul, but when she saw her old man had gained the upper hand, she immediately reacted too. She sat down on the ground and started kicking up a fuss. What sins did I commit in my past life to give birth to an unfilial son? Heaven is punishing me. Why doesn't a bolt of lightning just strike me dead? Then I'd have some peace, and the children would too. Seeing this situation, Zhang Xuanzhu quickly knelt in front of old Madame Li and slapped himself. I wouldn't dare be unfilial. Zhang Wangsai's whole family had been badly frightened. His wife had even wet herself. But when they saw Zhang Hongqi, who had just fired the gun, standing there dumbly at the courtyard gate, they immediately stopped being afraid. The psychological advantage they had built up over the years erupted in an instant. Amid his wife's screaming and furious cursing, Zhang Wankai grabbed a wooden stick from the base of the courtyard wall, determined to teach his disobedient eldest son a lesson on behalf of his elder brother. As for what Zhao Taizhu had just shouted, not a single one of them took it to heart. Who would take seriously the ramblings of a fool? Just as Zhang Wankai was charging over menacingly with the stick, Zhao Taizhu panicked. This bastard, why isn't he following the script? You family of meat thieves are even acting all tough. There are already 2 big iron pots set up in the yard, one rendering oil and one stewing meat. And all of that was brought back by the 3 men in our family after going deep into the old forest and risking our lives. What right do you have to eat it? Once a simpleton gets stubborn, he's way scarier than any street punk or village thug, especially when there's a gun right by his hand. Zhang Wankai, you bastard overgrown with weeds. Are your ears stuffed with donkey hair? I'm talking to you. You can't hear me, huh? Zhao Sanqi had never expected his simple-minded son to be ignored. Zhao Taizhu, whose fury meter was maxed out from being ignored, snatched that sawed-off gun from his father's hands in one grab. The pitch-black muzzle was aimed directly at Zhang Wankai, who was striding over. Clatter! The stick fell to the ground. Juzi, uncle was wrong. I was just fooling around. Don't let it go off by accident. Brother Sanqi, hold Juzi back a little. Did Zhang Wankai know he was wrong? No, he was just scared. How could Zhang Hongqi not know exactly what this bastard was up to? But this gun shouldn't be in Zhao Tiezhu's hands. Juzi, give me the gun and let me see who exactly was planning to trade my little sister for money. Strangely enough, Zhao Sanqi couldn't get the gun back from Zhao Taizhu, yet Zhang Hongqi could take it from him with ease. After being frightened again and again, Zhang Wankai no longer dared to act up even when the sawed-off gun ended up in Zhang Hongqi's hands. Fortunately, the earlier surge of rage had passed, and Zhang Hongqi merely carried the sawed-off gun and strode into the yard. As he passed Zhang Wankai, he turned and glanced at him, instantly making the bastard shudder. Dad, this meat hasn't been divided yet. You said Grandpa and Grandma wouldn't eat a single bite or touch a single piece, so what are we supposed to do now? Didn't you see what state your grandparents are in? You're still thinking about that bit of meat. Hurry over and kneel to your grandma. We can't let her lie in the snow any longer. Kneel my ass. Whoever the hell wants to kneel can kneel. I'm not kneeling. Dad, if you can't understand what I'm saying, let Uncle Sanqi explain it to you. Old Madame Li had just learned from her eldest son, while he was slapping himself and explaining what exactly was going on with that big basket of bear meat. When they heard they were being asked to have Zhao Sanqi speak up and demand it back, she immediately howled even louder. First, she didn't want to bear the stigma of being called a thief, because it was humiliating. Second, there was so much meat, and it was bear meat at that, something ordinary people might never taste in their whole lives. She couldn't bear to give it up. Does acting shamelessly work? It does. At least in old lady Li's eyes, it does. This bear meat was given to me by my eldest son out of filial respect. If you've got a problem, go argue with my eldest son. As for whether her eldest son's family would end up saddled with famine debts they could never repay because of this, She didn't care. What? Was Zhao Sanqi really going to drive her eldest son's whole family to death, or something? Seeing the scene in the yard, Zhao Sanqi chuckled and said nothing, just folded his arms and watched the show. Whoever the hell was lying in the snow would be the one feeling cold. Once they were too frozen to stand it, they'd get up on their own. Early in the morning, Zhang Wangsai's family was making such a racket, firing guns and wailing, that even though everyone was holed up for the winter, the gate outside the yard was still packed with people there to watch the commotion. The village party secretary and the production team leader were both alarmed, and came over together to see what kind of trouble Zhang Wangsai's family was stirring up. The moment she saw there were so many onlookers, old lady Li became even less willing to get up. She just lay in the snow throwing a tantrum, howling and dry crying. Zhang Wangsai's wife followed suit, rolling around on the ground together with her mother-in-law, and the people watching outside got even more excited. What the hell are you all doing? If the old Zhang family wants to die, go find a crooked-neck tree outside the village. Don't screw up the village's feng shui. The party secretary was an old revolutionary, and he knew very well all the big and small matters in the village. He knew perfectly well what sort of people Zhang Wansai's family, old man Zhang, and old lady Li really were. And then there was that Zhang Xuanzhu. Even the old party secretary didn't know how to describe that guy. His own children were starving and bawling, yet he insisted on carrying all the grain over to his younger brother's family, who didn't lack food, then turned around and went to borrow relief grain himself. That relief grain was specifically meant for people who truly couldn't survive. What the hell were you butting in for, Zhang Xuanzhu? The old party secretary had criticized old man Zhang and old lady Li more than once before, and had even tried to persuade Zhang Xuanzhu to his face, but no one listened to him. Since it was someone else's family business, the old party secretary could only watch helplessly. Now, seeing old lady Li take the lead and Zhang Wangsai's family join in making another scene, naturally he had no kind words for them. Uncle, I risked my life going deep into the old forest to hunt that black bear. And in the end the meat got taken to Zhang Wansai's house. It's practically cooked by now. What am I supposed to do? The moment Zhao Sanqi voiced his grievance, the crowd of onlookers outside immediately burst into cries of shock. He really hunted a black bear. That kind of thing can send a person flying with one swipe and crush a strong man to death just by sitting on him. Hunting something like that really means risking your life with your head on the line. What in the world was Zhang Wangsai's family thinking? How did they dare steal bear meat that someone else had brought back at the risk of his life? Shut up, all of you. Quit that damn wailing already. What exactly happened? Explain it clearly first. At the old party secretary's roar, the inside and outside of the yard instantly fell silent. At that moment, Zhang Hongqi stepped forward and recounted the whole matter exactly as it happened, without exaggerating or downplaying anything. He even laid out the whole ugly truth about how the last bit of cornmeal at home had been sent by Zhang Xuanzhu to Zhang Wangsai's house. And he didn't forget to mention that old lady Li and Zhang Wangsai's family wanted to sell his eldest younger sister, Zhang Fangfang, off to be someone's wife. Although old lady Li and Zhang Wansai's wife kept denying it from the side, even the people who were just there to watch could see clearly that what Zhang Hongqi said was probably true for the most part. Old lady Li and her husband, along with her precious son's family, already had a pretty bad reputation in the village, and after this commotion, their name was completely ruined. How could there be such heartless grandparents? How could there be such an unreasonable father? And they even wanted to sell their own granddaughter to an old man who beat his wife away and make her his wife. Isn't that against the law? Zhang Xuanzhu, I don't have a son like you. Seeing things were going south, old Zhang tried to stir up trouble and make a scene, directly declaring in front of the whole village that he was cutting ties with his eldest son. Zhang Hongqi was secretly delighted. But then, with a thud, Zhang Xuanzhu dropped to his knees again. The old party secretary saw that they were about to start making a fuss again, and immediately began cursing them out. However you want to handle your own family matters, shut the door and sort it out slowly. First, give an explanation for Zhao Sanqi's bear meat. Old party secretary, my son Hongqi also had a share in hunting that bear, so it can't all be counted as Zhao Sanqi's, right? At the critical moment, Zhang Xuanzhu chose to defend his parents and his younger brother's family. Zhang Hongqi sneered inwardly. I already gave you a chance, but you didn't want it, so don't come crying later. Zhao Sanqi let out a hey. Brother Xuanzhu, the kid Hongqi only helped me carry things around. He didn't put in much effort, so even when the spoils are divided, he wouldn't get this much bear meat. Besides, the spoils haven't even been divided yet, have they? What did I tell you before I came? What you've done broke the rules. How am I supposed to dare go into the mountains again in the future? What? How have I offended you? Do you want me dead in the old forest? In the whole village, Zhao Sanqi is the only hunter. What rules or not rules? Aren't the others just listening to him talk? You really mustn't say that, brother Sanqi. It's all a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Let alone Zhang Xuanzhu. Even old Zhang, old lady Li, and Zhang Wangsai's family wouldn't dare make this kind of life-and-death enemy out of Zhao Sanqi. Zhao Sanqi was a hunter, and he had a gun in his hands. After all the commotion, with the old party's secretary mediating, the matter was finally settled, more or less. Whether it was the rendered bear fat or the boiled bear meat, all of it, together with the rest, was to be delivered to Zhao Sanqi's home. It looked like returning the property to its rightful owner, but in reality, whoever went to deliver the bear meat would be like being paraded through the streets. Utterly humiliating. As for talk about breaking rules and violating taboos, the old party secretary said that was feudal superstition and should not be encouraged, and that having old Zhang, old lady Li, and Zhang Wangsai's family apologize to Zhao Sanqi in public would settle the matter. Zhao Sanqi agreed unwillingly, but the moment he saw the old party secretary's half-smiling look, he immediately gave a start. Fourth great-grandpa, everything else is negotiable, but they want to sell my younger sister, so you have to do something about that. Living in the same village, even if people weren't blood relatives, they could still claim some connection, and by seniority Zhang Hongqi called the secretary fourth great-grandpa. You little bastard, how can you make up stories about your grandparents? Your grandparents dote on Big Girl too much to even begin with. How could they sell her? Before anyone else could say anything, Zhang Xuanzhu got anxious first. Fine then, in front of fourth great-grandpa, have them make a guarantee. Get lost. What guarantee? From now on I don't acknowledge you as my son, and you stay out of our family's business too. Well now, Zhang Hongqi had originally planned to first cut ties with old Zhang and old lady Li, but he hadn't expected it to happen all at once, clean and complete. After all this commotion, one of the two goals Zhang Hongqi had planned was more or less achieved. Zhang Xuanzhu angrily cursed his eldest son for being unfilial, directly severed ties with him, and wouldn't even let him come home. Zhang Hongqi simply moved into Zhao Sanqi's house and kept Zhao Taizhu company. It was pretty nice. He himself had climbed out of the fire pit, but what about his younger siblings and his mother? With a worthless father like Zhang Xuanzhu around, sooner or later the family would end up broken apart by all the turmoil. Zhang Hongqi thought it over carefully and roughly came up with a new idea. No matter what, with this bear as a foundation, his second younger sister and little brother at least wouldn't starve to death anymore. As for eldest sister, with the whole village in such an uproar now, old Madame Li and the others probably won't dare rush to sell her off so quickly anymore, right? Yes, in Zhang Hongqi's eyes, that's exactly what it is, selling her. What bride price and all that? It's all bullshit. They're just spending money to buy a woman to take home, get beaten, suffer abuse, and bear children. Hongqi, just stay put and don't think too much. In a few days, your dad's anger will blow over. Uncle, it wasn't easy to break ties. I'm not going back. You kid, why are you so stubborn? After making such a scene, the trip to the county supply and marketing cooperative to exchange it for money got delayed by a day. Early the next morning, Zhang Hongqi followed Zhao Sanqi and his son, driving the horse-drawn cart borrowed from the production team straight to the county town. When they got to the supply and marketing cooperative and said they were selling a black bear, even the director was alerted and came to receive them personally. Going deep into the old forest in winter is rough, but winter is also the best time of the year to hunt wild game. Especially things like pelts. The colder it gets, the better the quality. When mountain patrolling hunters got game and hauled it to the supply and marketing cooperative to exchange for money, that was a normal transaction to begin with and had nothing to do with speculation or profiteering. But in the freezing cold, a lot of people didn't want to make a special trip all the way to the county town, so the township supply and marketing cooperative could also buy them. What's more, quite a few veteran hunters had their own channels, all old connections built up over many years, so the county supply and marketing cooperative couldn't compete with that. That's why the people at the cooperative were so enthusiastic when Zhang Hongqi and the other two came to sell a black bear. Because there really aren't many hunters who can hunt black bears and dare to hunt black bears. Anyone who managed to bring one down was bound to be an experienced old hunter. If they built a good relationship with people like that, then the next time those hunters went into the mountains and came back with a catch, they'd definitely come here again. That bear gallbladder wasn't especially large, but it was still a top-grade iron gall. After weighing it, it sold for 432 yuan. As for the bear hide, since it was a fresh hide, the price couldn't be too high, so it sold for 300 yuan. As for the bear nose, the bear kneecap, and the more than 100 gene of bear meat together, they sold for a total of 325 yuan. All told, the three of them made 1,057 yuan from a single trip into the mountains. Not just Zhao Taizhu, even Zhao Sanqi was stunned. What did more than 1,000 yuan mean in the rural northeast in 1977? Take Kaoshan village for example. Even if you ransacked the whole village, you still might not be able to scrape together that much money. A regular urban worker only made a little over 20 yuan a month. This 1,000 plus was enough for a worker to earn for more than 3 years without eating or drinking. Dad, I want twisted fried dough. And sticky bean buns too. Staring at that thick wad of great unity notes, Zhao Taizhu immediately started eyeing all the good stuff in the supply and marketing cooperative's counter. You little brat, what are you in such a rush for? Just get whatever you want to eat. Hongqi, you pick two. Having a father like Zhao Sanqi who never spoiled the mood was probably Zhao Tiezhu's greatest blessing in this life. The three of them came out of the supply and marketing cooperative carrying their arms full of stuff. As they drove the cart back, Zhao Taizhu was still muttering that there were so many tempting good things, but they all required coupons. And having money alone didn't help. In the end, it was the cooperative's director, trying to win people over, who secretly helped them exchange for a few cloth coupons. But Zhao Sanqi and his son had no use for them, so Zhang Hongqi took them all to buy cloth. He planned to have Li Xiuji use the cloth to make new clothes for his younger brother and sisters, though it was only enough for one set each. Hongqi, this share is yours. Count the money and see if it's right. On the way back, Zhao Sanqi, who was driving the horse cart, handed Zhang Hongqi a wad of money. When people went together into the old forest to hunt wild game, there were established rules for how to split the proceeds. Zhao Sanqi was an old hunter, and he was also the one who found the black bear's den, so he counted as 3 shares. The shooter counted as 2 shares, and Zhao Taizhu and Zhang Hongqi each counted as 1 share. Strictly speaking, the hunting dog Hudu should count as 1 share too, but this time they were opening a black bear den and didn't need it, so Zhao Sanqi didn't count it. As for the expenses at the supply and marketing co-op just now, Zhao Sanqi covered them all. Zhang Hongqi followed them into the mountains once and came away with 150 yuan. Meanwhile, an ordinary farming family right now, even if they had enough labor at home and worked all year long, might not be able to save even 20 or 30 yuan. These days, everyone's most common wish was simply not to go hungry. Zhang Hongqi didn't stand on ceremony either. He took the money and tucked it into his coat. This money would be useful. He needed to get himself a shotgun first. Zhang Hongqi was an excellent shot, but there was no way to explain that, and even if he did, no one would believe him. With only 1 shotgun, the one responsible for shooting would definitely be Zhao Sanqi. Zhang Hongqi wasn't the only one wanting to get a gun. Zhao Taizhu wanted one too. The 3 of them had already discussed it last night. On the way back from the county seat, they would make a detour to a neighboring township to buy guns. Although these days guns and hunting weren't banned, a genuinely good gun still wasn't cheap. At the very least, even after just hunting a black bear, Zhang Hongqi and the others still couldn't afford one, so they could only buy shotguns from other hunters. As the saying goes, of 10 hunters who patrol the mountains and hunt, 9 die and 1 is injured. That saying is surely exaggerated, but the danger of going deep into the old forest to hunt wild game is definitely not low. The family selling the guns had had the head of the household run into wolves in the mountains and get one of his legs bitten off. Luckily, his companions were reliable, so he barely made it back alive. But he was crippled and could no longer make a living patrolling the mountains and hunting, so he could only sell his guns and dogs. According to Zhao Sanqi, this family's hunting dog was pretty good too, but it had already been bought by someone else. After buying 2 shotguns at 60 yuan each, Zhang Hongqi and the others continued hurrying home. Both shotguns had some years on them, but they'd been well maintained. You could tell their owner had taken good care of them. Watching the 2 boys sitting on the wagon, so eager to fiddle with the guns that they didn't even mind their hands freezing, Zhao Sanqi couldn't help smacking his lips. Now that we've got some spare cash, we've got to pick out a few good dogs too. Hutu alone isn't enough. Successfully killing a black bear made Zhao Sanqi's confidence soar, and the rich returns made him want to grow bigger and stronger. With 3 guns, they'd now dare to try hunting wild animals they hadn't dared provoke before. After returning to Kaoshan village, Zhang Hongqi secretly called out Yer, Zhang Fongfong, and stuffed a bag of fried dough twists and that cloth into her hands, telling her to secretly take them home and not let Zhang Xuanju see them. With tears streaming down her face, Zhang Fongfong said, "Brother, Dad said he doesn't acknowledge you anymore, and from now on you're not part of our family. Brother, I don't want the fried dough twists. I want you to come back. Don't listen to his nonsense. I'll always be your brother. Zhang Hongqi took it pretty well. Anyway, according to his plan, after going into the mountains a few more times, he'd be able to bring his younger siblings and his mother out together. As for that home, Zhang Xuanzhu, that bastard, can stay there by himself. When luck is on your side, good things come one after another. That very evening, Aunt Bigfoot made a special trip to visit Zhao Sanchi's home. Sanchi, your elder brother went to haul back some dry wood this afternoon for firewood, and from a distance he saw quite a few wild boars over by the far side behind the meadow. Aunt Bigfoot had come to pass on the news. By the rules, if they really hunted wild boars, they'd have to give her family a share. Zhao Sanchi was clear-headed about this sort of thing. At the crack of dawn, with Hutu on a leash and out of the village, Zhang Hongqi and the other two headed toward the meadow. In the temperature of a bit over -20 degrees, every breath that came out of their nostrils turned white. In extreme cold, stepping outside is pure misery, let alone heading deep into the old forest. So no matter how much money mountain patrol hunting brings in, few people are jealous or envious. After all, making a living this way doesn't just mean suffering. It means risking your life. Ever since they got those two break-action guns, Zhang Hongqi and Zhao Taizhu have hardly put them down. Zhang Hongqi had also become fairly familiar with the firearms in his hands and had quietly taught Zhao Taizhu quite a few shooting essentials. But when it comes to marksmanship, in Zhang Hongqi's view, it all depends on firing more live rounds and feeding yourself with bullets. The only problem was that a single bullet cost several mao. Who could afford that kind of practice? There was militia training every year after the autumn harvest, but even then they only got to fire a few rounds. It still had to be taken slowly. Maybe if they just kept at it long enough, a sharpshooter would emerge. As for the break-action gun bought for 60 yuan, as long as it didn't blow the barrel, Zhang Hongqi would praise it as a good gun. But this thing had to be worked with a bolt, and after every shot it had to be reloaded. If real danger struck, it could all too easily turn into nothing more than a fire poker. So Zhang Hongqi had no choice but to drill his reloading technique, and even had a sudden idea. When shooting, support the gun with the left hand, pull the trigger with the right, and at the same time hold 3 bullets ready between the fingers in advance. Don't underestimate this trick just because it looks like a joke. Once you practice it enough, your reloading speed can increase several-fold. At a critical moment, being faster by even a second or half a second can mean the difference between life and death. In the bitterly cold depths of winter, the meadow was covered with a full 2 chi of ice and snow. Still, quite a few grass tussocks stuck out above the surface. But unless they were starving to a certain point, even wild boars wouldn't want to root around in that stuff. It was frozen rock hard, not much different from stones. Aunt Bigfoot had only given a rough location, so if they wanted to find that group of wild boars, they'd have to rely on Huda's nose. Although Zhao Sanchi had raised only this one hunting dog, he had carefully picked it in the first place and put a great deal of effort into training it. Huda was a black dog. As the old saying goes, black dogs produce lead dogs. What that means is that among black dogs, it's easier to get a good hunting dog. A lead dog is the one that takes the lead in a pack, directing the other hunting dogs for the hunter. And generally, the task of searching for prey is carried out by the lead dog. Unlike what most ordinary people imagine, a hunting dog's job is not to fight prey to the death. Its real duty is to find the prey and hold it in place. After locating the prey, the lead dog will usually bring the other hunting dogs in the pack up with it, either biting at it or surrounding it, waiting for the hunter to arrive and finish it with a single shot. The meadow outside Kaoshan village was no small stretch of land, and the 3 of them looked around in all directions without spotting any sign of wild boars. Bigfoot's husband had hauled back deadwood for firewood, so he definitely couldn't have gone this far. Most likely, that group of wild boars had been near the woods on the eastern side at the time. Zhao Sanchi thought it over for a while and pointed in one direction. Huda sniffed around in the snow, but still didn't catch the scent of wild boars. The 3 of them had no choice but to keep walking eastward along the edge of the meadow. During mountain patrol hunting, the most time-consuming part is searching for prey. The greater Xing'an range stretches for thousands of kilometers, and no one knows how vast the forests spreading out from the whole mountain range really are. Countless wild animals are hidden in there, but finding them is no easy task. As they searched along the meadow, Huta suddenly let out a bark indicating he'd caught the scent of wild game. Then Huta dashed forward at once. Huta's found them. You two stay sharp, Zhao Sanchi shouted, and the 3 of them immediately chased after Hutu. The snow along the edge of the meadow was a bit shallower. After all, This huge stretch of land was remarkably flat. Without the wind blowing, the snow couldn't pile up that deep, but once they left this flat stretch, the snow was knee-deep. Forget jogging. Even just traveling was tough. Zhao Sanqi looked up and surveyed the area, then whistled to call Huda back. Did you two see that patch of woods up ahead? Around that bend is a sunny slope. I figure that group of wild boars is on the sunny slope. Keep quiet and don't make a sound. We'll move over slowly. This is me passing on experience. Zhang Hongqi may be a good shot and strong and capable, but on his own, even if you gave him a good gun and endless bullets, it'd still be useless if he couldn't find the prey. We'll all listen to you, uncle. Dad, you call the shots. The three of them, with Hutu who had doubled back, trudged through the snow. When they rounded the bend ahead, sure enough, they saw wild boars on the sunny slope. Hiss, why are there so many? Even Zhao Sanqi was a bit numb with shock. There were more than a dozen wild boars on that sunny slope, and leading them was an astonishingly huge boar. A boar is a male wild boar, with tusks, fierce and aggressive. If one really charges and slams into a person, its tusks can stab 2 clean holes right through them. Dad, isn't more better? We're about to strike it rich again. Zhao Tieju's eyes lit up. In his eyes, those things on the sunny slope weren't wild boars at all. They were clearly one big banknote after another, and one fried dough twist after another. Zhuzi, settle down and listen to my uncle. Zhang Hongqi also felt that something was off about that group of wild boars. There were too many. If this had been before they bought the guns, when the three of them had only a single break-action gun, Zhao Sanqi might have turned around and taken the 2 boys straight back to the village. It wasn't that he was timid. Once the number of wild boars got too high, it became extremely dangerous. Every year, in the old forest and around the mountain woods, there was never a shortage of unlucky people gored to death by wild boars. Come on, let's circle around to the top of the slope. After thinking it over, Zhao Sanqi still couldn't bear to pass up such a good opportunity. Normally, if you wanted to see this many wild boars, you'd have to go who knew how deep into the old forest. Now they had practically run into them right at their own doorstep. Not taking the shot would be too wasteful. Besides, all 3 of them had guns now, which was different from before. Once the second shot was fired, in Zhao Sanqi's view, whether Zhang Hongqi and Zhao Taizhu could hit anything for the moment wasn't even the main point. Just making some noise would be enough to build up their momentum before that huge boar charged up the slope. Under normal circumstances, wild animals would definitely flee when they heard gunshots. Even if that huge boar really lost its temper and insisted on charging at them, with the 3 of them circling to the top of the sunny slope, they'd still have some buffer. Zhao Sanqi was confident. The 3 of them, with Huta staying quiet and not barking, circled up through the woods from the back, all of them exhausted. This patch of woods wasn't large, and the trees were sparse, but the snow was still deeper and softer than outside. And after climbing uphill the whole way, by the time they got there, all 3 were panting like bellows. Once they caught their breath, Zhang Hongqi and the other 2 lay straight down in the snow and crawled through it in a prone position until they reached a suitable spot. Hutu lay obediently beside Zhao Sanqi, just what you'd expect from a young dog with the makings of a lead hunting dog. Looking down from the top of the slope, they saw more than a dozen wild boars rooting through the snow on the sunny slope, searching beneath it for hazelnuts and acorns to eat. Listen carefully, you two. I'll fire first in a bit. Wait for my command. When I tell you to shoot, then you open fire. From this close, they could see clearly. Lying in the snow, Zhang Hongqi saw on the sunny slope. That boar, at no less than 300 or 400 gene, walking at the very front of the group, using its sharp, sturdy tusks to plow open the thick layer of snow. This was to make it easier for the sows following behind to forage. After all, even if the snowpack on the sunny slope was thinner, it was still more than 20 centimeters thick, and rooting it open was no easy task. Having more than a dozen females following him already proved that big boar's strength. Wild boars form groups after winter sets in. Once they form a group, the male boars compete for mating rights. Their tusks are as sharp as daggers, good for rooting through snow, and just as handy for opening holes in rivals of the same sex. Such competition is often accompanied by the death of male boars. Only the one that survives to the end can monopolize the females in the herd and pass on the best genes. Generally speaking, wild boars conceive in winter and give birth in spring. Hunting wild boars right now is perfect timing. Why support it? Because the sows haven't gotten pregnant yet. Hunting them now curbs the growth of the wild boar population at the source. As for protecting wild animals and all that, it had no market in 1977. What people cared about at the time was protecting people first. As for wild beasts, The more that could be killed, the better. Even wiping them out would have been ideal. Take wild boars, for example. In a single night, these things can root up several mu of freshly planted fields just to eat the seeds that were just sown. If they move in groups, they can cause even more havoc. In times like these, a herd of wild boars wrecking 100 or so mu of newly planted land in one night is no legend. In the Great Northeast, with its vast land and sparse population, the strategy is extensive planting with low yields, and it simply can't withstand that kind of destruction. To put it bluntly, every extra mouthful of grain ruined by wild beasts means one less mouthful for humans. At critical times, a single mouthful of grain can save a life. The natural environment in this era was simply too good, and from time to time wild beasts would come out of the old forest. A few years earlier, when a person walked alone, they had to carry a long pole, afraid a wolf might be following behind. Under such circumstances, who would dare say these wild beasts should be protected? They would surely be drowned by the vast sea of the people. At this moment, the place where Zhang Hongqi and the other two were lying in ambush was more than 50 meters from that herd of wild boars. Given the shooting accuracy of the Jibatsi, that distance wasn't reliable, but there was no helping it. They couldn't get any closer. Wild boars are not as stupid as people imagine. On the contrary, these creatures are very cunning, especially that big boar, which was exceptionally alert. After using its sharp tusks to root through the snow a few times, it would lift its head and look around. Wild boars have an extremely keen sense of smell, and their hearing isn't bad either. It was only because the place where Zhang Hongqi and the others were lying in ambush wasn't upwind. Otherwise, if that big boar had caught their scent, it would definitely have led its not-so-small harem and run off at once. Based on Zhao Sanqi's experience, to hit that big boar in the head with a single shot, he would need to get within at least 40 meters to be fully confident. But there was no such opportunity right now, so he could only try to make this shot as accurate as possible. Only then did Zhao Sanqi take off the cotton mitten from his right hand. In weather cold as hell, with the temperature at around -20 degrees, no one dared keep their hands exposed all the time, much less while holding a lump of iron like a gun. So there weren't many chances to act. Bang! After loosening up his fingers, Zhao Sanqi pulled the trigger directly, without the slightest hesitation. The crisp gunshot shattered the quiet on the sunny slope, and Zhang Hongqi and Zhao Taizhu, the two brothers who had been ready to fire all along, saw it clearly. Zhao Sanqi's shot hit the big boar right in the head, even shattering its right tusk, which flew a long way off. The dozen or so sows instantly scattered in panic, and Huda sprang out from Zhao Sanqi's side at once, bursting into a fierce volley of barks. Hit! Zhao Taizhu jumped high in the air. Since the shots had already been fired, there was no need to stay lying on the ground for cover anymore. The big boar with the broken tusk plunged headfirst into the snow, and it looked like it wasn't going to make it. Without waiting for Zhao Sanqi's command, Zhang Hongqi followed up by pulling the trigger too. Bang! Another crisp gunshot rang out, and a fleeing sow's head burst with a spray of blood before it dropped straight to the ground, motionless. Zhao Sanqi had no time to worry about anything else. He worked the bolt and fired another shot. This shot grazed past a sow's rump, carving out a bloody streak. Not only was the sow unaffected, it actually ran even faster. Damn it. Only at this moment did Zhao Taizhu remember that he still hadn't fired yet. Bang! Beside him, Zhang Hongqi, relying on the 3 extra bullets wedged between his fingers, reloaded even faster than the veteran hunter Zhao Sanqi. His shot hit a sow in the belly, and its guts spilled all over the ground, so there was no way it could get away. But this sow's meat was bound to be tainted inside the carcass. Wild boar meat already had a rank smell to begin with, and the odd odor would definitely be even stronger. But in times like these, nobody cared about that. Nobody had any grease in their belly. Just having meat to eat was already a godsend. Who still cared what it tasted like? How fussy. Once it was in your stomach, it was all good nourishment. Zhang Hongqi and Zhao Sanqi had both fired 2 shots before the bent-handled gun in Zhao Taizhu's hands finally went off. As expected, the bullet Zhao Taizhu fired was tremendously powerful, blasting a huge crater in the snow. For an instant, Zhao Sanqi, who had been completely focused on aiming at the prey, felt an inexplicable sense of frustration well up inside. In fact, missing was normal. Someone like Zhang Hongqi, who came in and scored with shot after shot, that was what was abnormal. But by now no one had time to think about that. Thanks to the bullets clamped between his fingers, Zhang Hongqi's 3rd shot actually rang out before Zhao Sanqi's did. But this shot from Zhang Hongqi also missed. After all, the fleeing wild boars had already picked up speed, and the distance had opened up as well, so firing a blank shot was perfectly normal. Even Zhao Sanqi hadn't expected that. Just last night, he had been laughing at Zhang Hongqi's trick of holding 3 bullets on his fingers. Yet today, he was seeing the effect of that flashy little method. When they got back, the 3 of them would practice it together. Hurry, bleed them, and clean out the carcasses. Zhao Sanqi climbed up from the snow and prepared to charge down the slope. After all, after the 3 of them had fired off a barrage of shots, the wild boars were fleeing for their lives, and there was no longer any chance of hitting them. The haul was still pretty good. Aside from the big boar Zhao Sanqi had dropped with his first shot, Zhang Hongqi had also hit 2 sows. Leaving aside the sow whose belly had been torn open by a bullet, the other one and that big boar both had to be bled and gutted as quickly as possible. If they delayed too long, the carcasses would go bad. But just when Zhao Sanqi had already gone several meters away, that big boar that had been shot in the head suddenly swayed and struggled back to its feet from the snow. It wasn't dead. Seeing the big boar that had been shot in the head wobble back to its feet, not only Zhao Sanqi, who had already started charging downhill, but even Zhang Hongqi, who was still lying in the snow and hadn't gotten up yet, was jolted with fright. The big boar stood in the snow and shook its head, then looked up at Zhao Sanqi, who had slammed on the brakes, landed hard on his backside in the snow, and was now sliding downhill. Its 2 blood-red eyes locked onto the target in an instant. Snorting and grunting, the big boar that had gotten back on its feet actually launched a charge at Zhao Sanqi, who was down and unable to get up. How fast can a wild boar run? In any case, on the thick snow, let alone Zhao Sanqi sliding on the ground. Even if he had been standing upright, he still couldn't have outrun a charging big boar. The more panicked you are, the more likely you are to make mistakes. Zhao Sanqi, scrambling frantically on the ground, still couldn't get back to his feet. Who knows what exactly was going through his mind, but in the end he actually dropped flat and tried to crawl away on all 4s. Once a 3 or 400 gene big boar gets charging, it's not much different from facing a tank. If this thing really hit him, needless to say, even if it didn't kill him, he'd be crippled. The moment Zhao Taizhu saw his father in mortal danger, his eyes instantly went red. With a howl, he grabbed the jibatsi in his hand and charged downhill too. This guy was using the gun barrel directly like an iron hammer. Hutu, who had originally been chasing the other fleeing wild boars, also twisted around with a roar and rushed toward his master. At the critical moment, Zhang Hongqi worked the bolt and shoved the last bullet from between his fingers into the chamber. In the midst of misfortune, the one stroke of luck was that neither Zhao Sanqi nor Zhao Taizhu, father and son, blocked the bullet's path. Bang! With a crisp gunshot, a bloody hole appeared in the head of the big boar charging forward with thunderous force. Even going uphill, the big boar wasn't slow. Its terrifying weight gave it tremendous momentum. After taking a shot to the forehead, the charging boar plunged headfirst into the snow, and its huge body even somersaulted forward. Boom! Zhao Sanqi, who had been crawling forward with his back to the big boar, finally got to his feet. He saw his son rushing down the slope with the jibatsi in hand and wanted to wave him back, but before he could shout, he heard a gunshot. Only then did Zhao Sanqi notice that Zhang Hongqi was still lying prone at the firing position from just now. Right after that came the thunderous crash of the big boar hitting the ground, along with great sprays of snow flung up by its massive body. The snow flung up from the ground showered Zhao Sanqi from head to toe. When he turned his head to look, the big boar, flipped completely over, was less than 10 meters away from him. Zhao Sanqi could even clearly see the big boar's dangling bits, just flaunting themselves in the freezing air. Damn, he really had snatched back a life. Dad, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? Zhao Taizhu, so frightened he was nearly crazed, came barreling in from behind like a speeding train, wrapped Zhao Sanqi in a bear hug, and the father and son tumbled to the ground together. By this time, Hudu had also rushed over and was constantly tearing at the big boar's corpse. Zhang Hongqi, having fired the last bullet in his hand, let out a long breath of relief. That was terrifying. He grabbed his gun and ran down the slope as well, joining Zhao Sanqi and his son, who were brushing snow off themselves, as they gathered around the big boar that was now completely dead. Only then did they see why this beast hadn't died after taking that shot. The bullet Zhao Sanqi fired had indeed hit the big boar's head. More accurately, it had hit the right side of this male wild boar's face. The immensely powerful bullet not only shattered the right tusk, it had even blown away half of the boar's face. The right half of Big Boar's face was completely gone. You could directly see its throat through the exposed mouth cavity. But even so, this bullet still didn't hit it square in the forehead, and Big Boar's brain was not shattered. But the tremendous kinetic force caused symptoms like a concussion, making the brute black out and collapse on the ground. That was why Zhang Hongqi and the other two thought this big boar was already dead. When the big boar with half its face missing came to, it naturally got back up from the ground. The moment it raised its head, it saw Zhao Sanqi charging toward it. Needless to say, the aggro was pulled hard. Facing the big boar with half its face gone, the three of them were terrified in retrospect. Who could have imagined that with half its face blown apart, the first thing this big boar did after getting up wasn't to run for its life, but to take revenge instead? Whether it was the wild boar's tenacious vitality or its frenzy for revenge, both were chilling to the core. Fortunately, Zhang Hongqi still had one bullet left in his hand. Fortunately, his marksmanship was accurate enough, and fortunately his nerves were strong enough. Otherwise, the three of them might all have ended up dead on this sunny slope today. But now that the danger was over, the work that needed doing still had to continue. Zhang Hongqi and the other two pulled out their knives and swiftly bled the carcasses and cleaned out the body cavities. Hutu, who had shown such bravery and loyalty earlier, was directly rewarded with a neck piece to eat. Although this group of wild boars numbered more than a dozen, Zhang Hongqi and the others had only killed 3, but the herd had already scattered. Especially now that the lead big boar was dead, the remaining wild boars would naturally disperse while fleeing. That way, even if they really ran into other people, they wouldn't pose too great a threat. Don't think that running into a small sow without tusks in the wild means you're perfectly safe. Wild boars are omnivores. Besides plants, they are also fond of meat. Especially when a person is alone, if they run into a group of wild boars, then even if there are no male boars among them, it's still very easy to get mobbed, and more often than not they won't survive. Every year or two, you'd hear news about some family's kid getting chewed up by wild boars. Only after all 3 wild boars were completely cleaned up did Zhang Hongqi and the others go to the woods behind the slope to gather some materials and make a grass sled. This thing only works well in winter when there's snow. After all, in temperatures of -20 to 30 degrees, people still slip and slide walking on thick snow, let alone a grass sled with a large surface area in contact with the snow. The 3 of them dragged the grass sled loaded with wild boars back to the village, and it immediately caused another sensation. Only a few days had passed since the last time they hunted a black bear, and now the 3 of them had brought back so much game again. They were just too impressive. Right away, some superstitious fellows started muttering mysteriously that maybe Zhao Sanqi was about to come into great luck. After all, in everyone's eyes, being able to bring down game surely depended entirely on an old hunter like Zhao Sanqi. Even after being cleaned up, the 3 wild boars still weighed more than 400 gene. Naturally, they wouldn't sell all the wild boar meat to the supply and marketing cooperative. They had to keep some for themselves. And then there was Aunt Bigfoot, who had passed along the warning. They picked the sow that hadn't had its body cavity tainted and chopped off both hind legs. Zhang Hongqi and Zhao Taizhu each shouldered one and made a grand show of delivering them to Aunt Bigfoot's home. This was also a form of publicity. In the future, whenever people in the village spotted any wild animal, the first ones they'd think of would definitely be Zhao Sanqi and his group. Amid all the lively chatter and discussion, old Madame Li, who had earned herself the reputation of a thief, began to regret it. Her own dear eldest grandson went bear hunting a few days ago, and today hunted wild boar again. Although he was only following Zhao Sanqi around, helping carry and haul things, he should still get a fair share of the meat, right? As for her short-sighted eldest son, he just had to sever ties with his eldest son. Wouldn't all that meat go to waste for nothing then?